Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The regularly scheduled meeting of the Southern Shores Town Council for June the 4th, 2013 is in session. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's observe a moment of silence. A moment of silence in tribute to all those young men and women throughout the United States and the world who devote themselves during the summertime to saving lives of those who venture upon the water. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. Council, we have need to amend the agenda, and I apologize for not picking up on it sooner, but if there's no objection under 7, I would add C, Planning Board report. Somehow it got dropped off. There's no problem with that. Somebody can move to approve.
I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It's summertime, and our visitors are here, and we're ready for them. And we have with us tonight Mark Dramboski, who heads up our surf rescue operation, and he has some people here he would like to introduce to us. Mike?
Thank you. First up, Avery Graves.
We'll hold applause until the final.
Okay.
All right.
What school do you go to again? Avery just finished 2 years at FCC, which is Frederick Community College. HCC? FCC, yeah. Frederick, Maryland, and is moving on to a 4-year school. She doesn't know where yet in nursing. Emily Fay. Emily's my niece, goes to South Carolina, and she's just had her 21st birthday. Katie Fitzgerald, 19, goes to Elon. Logan Carlson, Virginia Tech, 20. This side. Yeah, just walk right there. You go, keep walking up. Kane Heller is a local boy. Just finished up 2 years at Caldwell Community College, is 20. Kyle Lewis, 30 years old, veteran, Army, Ranger. This is his 3rd year working for me, right here. You guys stand right in front of me. That's good. Randy Collins, a Navy veteran, is now at AU, 30 years old. Randy's been with me for quite a few years. Right here. You can stand in front of me. Good. Ray Hampton is with the Hanover, Virginia Fire Department. He's really old. We worked together in Nag's Head. He worked in Kitty Hawk, and now he works for me. Ryan Wallace, local, goes to Carolina. He's 19. I swim with his dad every morning when I show up. Will Thomas, LSU, 20 years old. Come on up, Will. Alex Julian goes to Lynchburg College. He's 20. Robbie Sell, Lynchburg College, 19. Joe Walton, Virginia Tech, 20. That's Joe. Dave Beckey goes to Elon. He's 19. Colin Vale. Colin goes to Mount Allison in Sackville, New Brunswick, Canada. Ooh. And last is Walker Ross. Walker lives right here in Southern Shores on Crooked Back? Right? Crooked Neck. Oh, he lives on Bayberry, Mr. Mayor. Everybody who's new, this year is their first year guarding, raise your hand. So we have a really new bunch of people, and then we have a couple of old guys.
Did you get them all?
Trying to keep them in line. I have two other old guys that aren't here tonight, Bill Ryan, who some of you might know, and also Bob Mack, both retired law enforcement personnel that try and whip these guys into shape. And one more elderly gentleman who is retired from Kodak, who couldn't make it with us tonight. But that's 2013. Thanks. Okay, you guys can file out.
Well, okay, go ahead. But, I want you to know the council is very pleased to have you with us for this summer, and we look forward to a good, safe summer, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. We have a little fun time, joy time right now. We are recognizing two of our staff members for 5 years of service. Oh, sir. Is Matt here? There he is. Sorry, Matt. Matt Cook and Sheila Kane. And we'll do it one at a time. And I think we'll do it in alphabetical order. That means you, Matt. Would you come forward, please? I'm going to meet you right out there. Awesome, Matt. Certificate of appreciation for your years of service with us. We're pleased to have you with us. We're proud to have you with us. And we thank you very much for the great service you're giving to our town. We'll shake hands. You'll get a picture. Ready? There we go. Sheila? Oh. I lost track. I don't know why. It's been really great 5 years to have you on our staff. And I want you to know that we appreciate it very much. We thank you. And we look forward to many more. You good? Chief Cole?
Good evening. It's my honor and my privilege to introduce to you our new summer help. We don't have quite as many as Merrick does. The we have a Community Resource Officer, Anthony. Anthony's actually been working beach patrol, parking. He's no longer a rookie because he's already issued one dog on the beach ticket. This is Anthony Beach. He resides on Clamshell with his father Tony and his mother Melinda. He grew up in Viewtown, Virginia. They moved to Southern Shores in 2005. He attended and graduated in 2008 from First Flight High School. Then he attended UNC at Pembroke, graduated with a bachelor's degree in 2012. He also participated in an internship with Robeson County Sheriff's Office, where he was involved in quite a bit, from canine units to crime scene investigations. He likes half marathons, don't like full. He also likes to fish, golf, and he is also a volunteer coach at the local high school here for wrestling. He is going to attend the Basic Law Enforcement Training Academy in the fall, and he's also going to work on his master's degree. So I'd like to introduce you to our new Community Resource Officer for the summer.
Welcome, Anthony. Welcome very much.
Nice to meet you. I'll see you on the beach. Welcome. This time I'm on the Oval, I'm on the beach trying to get a tan.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've seen where you're there passing. That's right. His last name's the same.
We are privileged to have with us tonight Carlos Mercado. I think you must be substituting for Chief Harvey to make a special presentation. Carlos? Oh, there's Harvey. I've been looking for you. Carlos, you two fight it out. I didn't see you.
I'm Carlos Mercado. I live on Gray Squirrel in Chickahook. And my purpose here tonight is as a representative of the Board of Trustees for the local Firemen's Relief Fund. And what I'm doing here tonight is going to present some scholarship money to Jared Davis. Stand up, please. And next to Jared are his mother, Johnny and Michelle. Johnny is a member of the Volunteer Fire Department of Southern Shores. Let me say,
Jared's a member too.
the board, sorry?
Jared's a member.
The board, well, I was gonna get to that. He stole it. The board met on the 22nd of April and considered his application and unanimously approved that application. He's quite a young man. He's currently a student at First Flight, graduating this Friday, has been accepted to ECU in criminal justice. Academically is one of the things we consider. Academically, extracurricular activities, volunteer community service. He's done it all. He's in the upper 25% of his class. He's a national scholarship scholar.
National Merit Scholar.
Participates in many extracurricular activities at the school. And also there's a lot of volunteer work for the community, including, here we go. He's a junior member of the Southern Shores Volunteer Fire Department. So, the board could not do anything but unanimously approve this $1,000 scholarship. And I understand that's also been followed up by the North Carolina Association of Firefighters, also gave you some scholarship money. So Jared, no further ado.
Thank you to Chris Rockmore and Jamestown Social Schools and
And we thank you, Jared, for your service to the community, for the fine example you set. Chief Harvey? Would-
Jared is currently a junior member of our department, but at the moment he is handed his diploma on Friday, he was coming full-fledged.
Even more cause to celebrate. Congratulations. And Chief, I've been looking for you since I got in here at 10 till 7, and I apologize. I did not see you. I couldn't get by Carlos anyway. Council, you have before you the consent agenda under tab 1. What is your pleasure?
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Town planner, Mr. Wes Haskett.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. For permitting and inspections for May, there were 3 zoning permits issued, 39 building permits issued, which made up of 2 additions and 37 others. There were 137 building inspections conducted at 69 job sites. There are currently 9 single-family dwellings under construction and 1 bank in the commercial district. And the total amount of fees collected in May was $5,000.40. For June 17th, the planning board meeting, we do have 2 zoning text amendment applications. They will be reviewed that night. One of them is an application from the Southern Shore Civic Association, and that is to amend the current wireless ordinance. The other is an application from Mr. Frederick Cardenas, and his request is to amend the schedule of district regulations for the C commercial zoning district to allow for animal boarding facilities. That would be a new permitted use in the commercial zoning district. Also, I'd like to touch on, with respect to the planning board, that members Bill Gleason and Bob Palumbo, their terms are set to expire at the end of June, and they have indicated that their time on the board is up and they will not be serving another term. So I'd just like to say that both have been dedicated and insightful members on the board. They've been on the board since I came here in 2009, and I'd like to thank them for everything that they have done, for their time and efforts, and say that it was a privilege working with both of them. In addition to that, traditionally, with respect to planning board vacancies, council has appointed the 2 alternate members to fill the vacant regular memberships. So we would recommend that in this case. The 2 alternates are Elizabeth Morey and Gray Berryman. And we would suggest at this point or recommend, as you have done in the past, to fill those 2 vacancies that will be coming up at the end of June with the current alternates. So maybe at the June workshop meeting.
Maybe I make a request that we agenda this as an action item at our workshop meeting.
Great, that'd be perfect. Thank you.
Also, Bob Palumbo and Bill Gleason have been the most exemplary volunteers I've ever been associated with. And we want to give them some special recognition. Hopefully we can entice them to come to that meeting.
I'll talk to them. Yes, sir. Well, that concludes my report, unless you all have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Cole?
Thank you, Mayor. The police report for the month of May 2013. We had 1,216 calls for service. Some of the breakdown of the highlights were 33 foot patrols. Officers conducted 47 traffic control, 216 residence checks, 257 business checks. Investigators followed up on 10 different cases that they're working on. Responded to 4 domestics. We had 9 motor vehicle accidents, 21 alarms, 16 suspicious persons. We assisted 4 motorists, and we assisted other agencies with mutual aid 11 times for May. Crimes that were actually reported, we had 36. Some of those are 2 burglaries. We had 9 larcenies. We had 4 criminal damage to property, and we had 7 that were drug-related. Officers made 8 criminal arrests for May. They conducted 123 traffic stops. They issued 72 written citations and another 70 warning citations. Also 33 ordinance violations. You can see our community service officer is hard at work. 32 of those were parking violations and 1 was dog on the beach. And that was issued after 2 stern warnings, so it wasn't. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And now, Chief Harvey.
Good evening. In the month of May, we had 25 total calls, of which 2 were building fires, 11 were medical assist, and the rest of them ranged over various causes. The interesting thing about this month is, well, last month we only had 25 calls. Last year, at the same time period, we had 46. We had more medical calls last year than we had total calls this month. Any questions? Thank you.
I recently received a letter from General Manager of the Duckwoods Country Club. It was very favorable and appreciative of the efforts of the volunteer fire department in helping him set up the club for fire safety. Good show. He specifically mentioned you and Councilman Kowalski by name.
Okay. Do we get credit on the tab somehow for that? No.
Southern Shore Civic Association, we have Mr. Jim Kelleher. He's substituting tonight again for Ross Mitchell. I don't know if you'll know it, but Ross had a hip replacement recently, and he's recovering very nicely on his front porch as of 3 o'clock this afternoon. Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Just 2 quick updates. We think we're also in pretty good shape for the summer season. As many people already know, the new shower at Hillcrest has been completed and is operational. The new Sea Oats basketball court has been installed. Last month, we had approximately 30 volunteers do a beach and dune cleanup of the remaining debris from Hurricane Sandy. And just to give you an idea of the magnitude, we ended up filling an entire dumpster, a lot of which was the pieces of sand fencing that got broken in that storm, but all sorts of debris. So we're thankful to those volunteers. And lastly, last summer we noticed that once the new lifeguard chair went up at the Triangle Park area, there seemed to be a pretty significant increase in use of that parking area. So this year we have chosen to add a porta-john facility within that parking area. Hopefully we've hidden it a little bit within the bushes. The other update had to do with the cell tower. I think Wes just covered that, and hopefully Ross will be well enough by June 17th to make that presentation. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you very much, Jim. Mr. Sam Williams, Planning Board. Oh, I overlooked Chickahawk. I can't,
We have nothing to report. Our meeting is Thursday night.
thank you. Thank you. Sam Williams. Sam Williams, Planning Board.
Mr. Mayor, Council, just one thing to report on tonight, and that is ZTA 1302, which is country club signs. And I believe Wes left at your chair this evening a slightly revised version than was in the notebook. The change is on the third page, line 46. It's section, or not section, but H.
What page?
It's the third page. I believe it's the third page, yeah. The third page, very bottom of the page, H. Beginning of that sentence should read, country club signs, period. And then continues what's already underlined in there. And if that wasn't there, it would be very confusing when it came to looking at 8B. Basically, ZTA 1302 was brought to the planning board by the Duckwoods Country Club. The purpose was to allow an additional sign on the property in the vicinity of the clubhouse. And after discussion, the planning board added a definition of country club, and because a country club we thought was more private than semi-public, semi-public being church or school. And section 8B talks about semi-public and not private. Other than that, we put in there that it should be one freestanding sign per street frontage, maybe one or two sided, shall not exceed 32 square feet per face, may not exceed 9 feet in height, may be indirectly lighted, and shall be set back at least 15 feet from the property line. That matches the language that's in section 8B, so it's consistent. And representatives from Duckwoods were at the meeting, and they felt that those changes from what they initially submitted were fine. The recommendation is that the planning board recommends the approval of country club sign ZTA 13-02 as revised by the planning board, and we also found it to be consistent with the town's adopted land use plan. And so the other thing that needs to be done is to set a public hearing on this. Are there any questions?
Yep. Council, do you have any questions of the
No.
planning board chairman on this matter? We will, I will set a public hearing on it for our next meeting, which would be June the 18th. June the 18th, correct? Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. We have a budget to present to the people. Budget has been available on the website and through other means for over a month now. And we're ready for a public hearing. I declare the public hearing open. Who among you would like to speak to this budget? I declare the public hearing on the budget for the next fiscal year to be closed. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment, Wes? No public comment? Town manager, we're down to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and members of the council. I did want to inform you of one matter as part of my report. The Dare County Board of ENR, the Board of Equalization and Review, adjourned on May 23rd. And of course, they heard all the appeals from the property valuation matters across the county. And Southern Shores we had only a total value change of $236,400. So that was less than 1% of value change in the gross value that was reported to you.
That was down, I assume.
That's less than 1%. We had,
No, 236 was less.
that's correct. That's correct. Excuse me. Didn't understand what you said. Yes, that is less than the original valuation. So that's very, very minuscule change in value. I did want to also report to you on a couple of other matters. First of all, just that the town of Southern Shores is a co-sponsor with Outer Banks Hospital's Urgent Care tomorrow in an event to celebrate National Running Day. And the event will be at 6 a.m. in the morning in front of the urgent care facility there at the marketplace. Invite everybody to come out. There'll be pre-run events will start at 5:45 in the morning. Several of us will be running and several town employees will be volunteering for this event, and I believe the mayor will be giving a welcome. And at last count, there were 168 registrants for this event, so we're happy that it's turned into a popular event for the town.
May I
Yes, sir.
interject? I invite each town council member to join me in welcoming them in the morning. The muster time is 05:30.
Prior to the meeting tonight from 4 to 6 p.m., representatives from Kimley Horn, the town's contract engineering firm, held a public forum on the replacement process for the Tall Pine Bridge. And we're in the actual planning stage, environmental planning stage, prior to right-of-way acquisition and actual design. So there was a minimum number of people who came, but we have been trying to get the word out, and there are drawings of the project, excuse me, not drawings, but maps of the project at the rear of the room in case anybody's interested. The project has not actually been drawn yet, and I believe there was discussion to report to the council about the location of the multi-use path portion of this bridge, and the engineers will be drawing it on the east side instead of the west side, so that when that comes back to you in drawing form, you can have more deliberation and discussion at that time. I believe it was thought that all evidence indicated that if ever the multi-use path is extended, most likely, probably, use those words, would be on the west side. So the engineers have agreed to draw that on that east side of the bridge. The anticipated construction date at this time, hopefully, is early 2014. We're running into the same challenge with the fact that it is in part of the construction might take place in the water, and so we have the migratory fish challenge again as far as a moratorium period for disturbance in the water. So we're up against that challenge, but hopefully it will be early part of 2014, and the bridge would be closed from 90 to approximately 120 days. So that will be a challenge for those on the north side of town transiting into the south of town on that street, which is Dogwood Trail. As this process continues, though, the council will be continuously updating, and we'll try to get any public information out to the public on the website as well. Did want to also report to you on June the 18th at our workshop meeting, we'll be asking the mayor to agendize approval of the loan documents for the financing for the Canal Phase 2 project. At that particular point in time, we will be ready. All matters will be before you then for that approval. We will have achieved the LGC approval in both the loan documents as well as final authorization to execute the contract. If you wish, we'll have that on the agenda as well for discussion on June 18th. Also, an item on June 18th, just to remind you, will be the town engineer and I will have the streets that both the CIP committee with me, myself, and the town engineer prioritized and put on a list and it will be in accordance with the town engineer's own prioritization, but subject, of course, to your deliberation as to how you want to handle that at that time. So it'll be all up to council how you would like to either prioritize, pick and choose, et cetera, based on available funding that you wish to fund it with, in addition to anything that you might have considered for the budget. Finally, I bring to you a matter as part of my report, and you have copies before you. This is at the stage of a real estate inquiry or a use inquiry by a potential cell tower user. And I'm bound to bring this to you in the form to get some sort of consensus, either yay or nay, as to whether or not you might be interested in entertaining a proposal from this cell tower user to place a cell tower here on the town hall complex. Now, Mr. Haskin and I have met with the potential user and explained to them this would take not only a conditional use permit, but it would also take an actual change in the ordinance to do that. So we have not gotten to any stage of the planning aspects of it tonight or prior to this. Purely tonight, I bring to you basically aesthetics to see if, notwithstanding all the other planning aspects or process that we would have to go for, whether or not council or a majority of the council members would even be interested in this type of proposal. This would entail a 120-foot slick stick monopole, 4 feet in diameter at the base and 2 feet in diameter at the top. And I believe you'll see some of the photographs there that show you, or images, excuse me, that show you what it would look like from different points in town, both on 158 and off of NC 12. What I'm asking tonight is whether or not there would be enough consensus on council for Mr. Haskin and I to go back to this proposed user and say we'd either encourage you to apply or not encourage you to apply, is where I am with this. I'm bringing it to you in an open meeting because this is town property and this is an inquiry as well as to use town property. So I think where we are is aesthetically, all else aside, would council be interested? And the proposal is for monthly market rent, whatever the market would bear. They have thrown out a figure of $2,000 a month, which they say is similar to what they're negotiating in another location. I have not done any due diligence on that amount because I just wanted to check with you first to see what the council's pleasure might be in this. And Mr. Mayor, that's my report, but I'll also turn it back to you on that question.
You want me to take it?
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I like cell phone towers. I think that we should, as a council, entertain this idea. I believe that it doesn't, I don't think it necessarily has to be a monopole. Maybe we can negotiate and talk about flag poles. It is, after all, 15 feet less in height than the eventually proposed cell phone tower at the Triangle. It's AT&T. AT&T, I think, is going to be negotiating with Duck to put a pole up in Duck. This one at Triangle, and they also would, I guess, exploring to put one up here on this property. It would help those people in town who have AT&T service, if it transpired, if it went that far. But it would help, it'd give us a competition so that Verizon was not the only one that could supply cell phone service. It would, I really don't see a major issue with it. At least in the exploration, to see what they've got to say, what they come to bear. I also like to remind the council that there is, and Wes, you can help me out on the HR, whatever, 644, whatever it is that's passed both, I think, the Senate and the state House regarding the new wireless bill, where you eventually will not be able to say yes or no, et cetera, or ask a series of questions. Or they come and they are asking for the yes, but we do actually have the land as a town, so we have something to say. So I think exploration and having them present what they want, what they have to give us might be a good thing. And see where it takes us. If it takes us no place, we've lost nothing. If it takes us someplace, we have something to gain. So, nothing ventured, nothing gained. That's about it.
Anyone else like to address?
I have a question, more than anything else, maybe Wes, or you can answer. Is this an AT&T driven inquiry, or is it driven by the company that works for AT&T on a fishing expedition, looking for places that they can present back to their customer of AT&T for additional sites?
Our communications have been with Velocitel. They are a company working for AT&T. The plans that you have, they do have AT&T logo and contact information on it. However, have I spoken to an employee with AT&T? No, I have not. It's been done through this third party, Velocitel.
And the Velocitel did not say anything further about co-location on a tower at this location either, did they?
They are aware of the co-location on the water tower that was recently
Well,
updated.
I'm looking specifically at this slick stick tower that they've got proposed, and they only have room for the AT&T locations at the top of the tower, and it doesn't look like room has been allowed for co-location on that tower for other
They
carriers.
would have to adjust that to, that's a specific requirement in the ordinance right now. That is something that they would have to do. They'd have to provide room for, I believe, just 2 additional carriers,
Yes.
plus room for emergency communications, fire, police, et cetera. And they are aware of that because this is the same company that's working with the SSCA, and that, they do have the space shown on that.
It says it right here.
I
It
believe
says
I thought
3
it-
antennas inside the tower. Sorry, Wes, it says 3.
Yeah, so, any other questions?
There are ground facilities associated with the tower. They would be placed on the cul-de-sac also.
Right now, yes, sir, the way that this proposal was drawn up, it shows an enclosed, fenced-in area with their accessory equipment, electronic equipment, to be planted basically right beside the oak tree out here in the right-of-way. It would not be on town or the actual parcel per se that makes up the municipal complex. It would be within the town right-of-way, just off of the pavement of the cul-de-sac. Yes, sir. So therein lies the problem with, as far as our ordinance. Right now, our zoning or wireless ordinance requires that the enclosed fenced-in area and accessory equipment must be set back a minimum of 50 feet from a property line or right-of-way line. So
Yeah.
that is one hurdle that would have to be looked at prior to it being approved, if it were to be considered to go that far. And
I'm
they are
just
aware-
sitting here wondering, 135 feet?
I believe this one is on here, according to this, is 120.
120 from the center of the cul-de-sac. I think it just about reaches my seat. That makes me nervous. I don't know. I'm inclined to agree with Councilman Kowalski. We should listen to them. We should hear them out.
I think we should listen to them, see where the discussion goes, where it
Yeah.
goes.
Any possibility of talking them into putting a vertical generator on top of this thing so we can power up Town Hall?
A windmill, maybe a windmill.
Oh, I don't want a windmill, I want a vertical.
I'm sure they could come up with all sorts
Too
of
ugly.
creative ideas.
No, spinning jobs, that gives you some
That would probably increase the base of the tower though by
25
factor
feet.
2.
Thank you.
Okay, is that
Yeah.
enough of a?
That's enough. Yes, Mr. Mayor, we will talk to them, and the next step will be, we'll have them propose something, but also actually apply for the change in the ordinance so it can come to you as in a more formal venue as well to discuss it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Town Attorney?
Mr. Mayor, I don't have anything this evening, thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have a number of things on our workshop agenda. One of them, the town manager mentioned to you, was the matter of prioritizing our streets repair program for the next fiscal year, we received this document. I would encourage each council member, if you're not already familiar with each of these streets, to go for a drive or two and get current on the condition as you observe them, so that we can knuckle down and define our streets program for next year. For this year, we did most of our engineering in the prior year. For next year, we haven't done any engineering this year. I'm concerned that we must get on it early in the new fiscal year if we're going to actually perform the streets program that we all want for this next year. That's all I have. Jody, do you? Mayor Pro Tem? Mr. Kowalski?
I have really nothing.
Mr. Sanders?
Nothing.
Mr. Levon?
I have nothing, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Council, I move we enter into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes 143, 318, 11A, paren 6, consideration of personnel issues, and Section 1, approval of closed session minutes, and Section 3, consult with attorney on privileged matters. I need a second.
I'll second.
We're in closed session, and we're in recess for 5 minutes.